Right, you can use the sine rule. Let's say you have two angles. So I have an angle 30 degrees, and over here I have an opposite side. So the angle and the opposite side, they go together. If this angle was bigger, what would you expect? Would you expect that to be 12 if this angle was bigger? So the length of this side would be longer if that angle was bigger. So they are in proportion, so they are. And look over here, we have an angle of 50 degrees here, and then we have a distance x. If this angle was bigger, you'd find that length x would be longer, wouldn't it? So they go together. This angle and that side go together. This angle and that side work together. Right, so in the sine rule you can write it like A. A stands for the side, the length of a side. And then sine A, so let's say that would be 12 over sine 30. And then B would be the length of this side, x over sine 50. And in the sine rule they write out A sine A, B sine B, and C sine C. But you don't need all of that. So you can write the rule out like that, with the length of the side over the sine of the angle. Or you can write it like this. It doesn't make a difference.
What side B?
You can decide which. I'll explain it now in a second. So actually with the sine rule, I'll rub out this. Use the top formula, and you don't actually need C at all. So this is the only bit that you actually need. Alright, so the sine rule is very handy if I know an angle on the far side, and I know this angle but I don't know this far side. So all I have to do is fill in the values. So we'll start off with this pair in here, 12 and the angle 30. Just look up, Alan. So 12, I'll replace A with 12. And this angle here that goes with it is 30 degrees. And then I'll go over here, I'll look at this pairing. So the side is x and the angle is 50, sine 50. So all I need to do now, if I have two fractions in a sum and the equals is in between, I can cross multiply. If I have three fractions in the sum and an equals, I can't cross multiply. So I can cross multiply. So watch, I go x times, you pay attention to this bit, this is important. So just write it out like this, x times the sine of 30. Put it in brackets. And we'll go 12 times the sine of 50. And you don't use the calculator until the last step. Alright, so as in algebra, I want x to be on its own on the left hand side, and I want to get rid of sine of 30. So how do you get rid of sine of 30? Yeah, so if it was like this, 2x is equal to 8. Divide both sides by the thing I want to get rid of is the 2. 8 over 2 is 4. So same over here, I want to get rid of the sine of 30, so divide by the sine of 30. That equates to 1. Divide by the sine of 30. Alright, so now you get your calculator. So sine of 50 times 12. So you get the sine of 50 equals times 12. Okay, and now I'm going to divide that by, put in brackets, sine of 30. Okay, so x is equal to 18.385 to 2 decimal places, 18.39. Okay, so x, this distance here is 18.39. Alright, is that okay? Okay, so what would happen if you wanted, so let's say that was, if you were given that was 15 and you were given this side was 10, and you said that was 30. Find the angle A. How do you find the angle? So same formula. A over sine A is equal to B sine B. Just fill in the formula exactly the same way. We're looking for the angle this time. So we'll look at the first pairing. So we'll pair these two together. The angle and the opposite. So 15 over sine of A. And these two are paired together, sine of 30 and 10. 10 over sine of 30. Same thing again, cross multiply. So we go sine of A times 10 is equal to 15 times sine of 30. Now what do we want to leave A on its own on this side, so we want to get rid of the 10 first of all. Divide by 10. Divide by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So at the moment I'm left with sine A over here. So find out what that is on the calculator. Sine A is equal to, so I get the sine of 30 and equals, and multiply it by 15 equals, and divide by 10 equals 0.75. Alright, so how do I work backwards and find out what A is? To find the angle, I said before, if you're given the decimal, to find the angle, you go sine inverse. 0.75 will give you the angle. So you go second function, sine inverse, 0.75, close the brackets, equals 48.5859 degrees is the angle A. Alright, I used exactly the same method, but at the end and I ended up with sine A is equal to 0.75, and then just use the sine inverse. So always use sine inverse to find the angle. Alright.